Welcome to Good Flickas, home of the Good Flickas. Can you take our critiques? We are already having a fun time talking about the Boxtrolls. So I'm looking forward to diving into this one. I am, of course, Matt, joined by the ever boxy Brian. I will fully admit that I did not come up with anything this week because it has been hectic and crazy, and I did not think of anything good. And I could just give you boring Boxtroll names like, we came up with Prime, and I think that one's going to stick, Brian. So Prime Brian.
Sure. Anyone else in the mood for a charcuterie board?
You have charcuterie?
I was saying, never mind. Forget it.
Those are the cheese.
He's making a reference
to all the cheese in this movie, I'm sure, but I want charcuterie. Don't tempt me or tease me with charcuterie. You give me my meats and cheeses, nuts and all.
Yeah, he's like, don't joke about that.
I love my adult Lunchable. I love my adult Lunchables.
Yeah, nuts. Don't joke about my charcuterie boards.
Charcuterie boards. Dear God. All right, we're getting a little off the rails. Let's try and get rolling because we have Jen for a limited amount of time. So I'm going to try and keep us rolling, especially since we're starting late because of me. That's not true. It's because of the job. But we are also joined tonight with Jen. I have no good box name for you, so I apologize. Maybe Bowl. I think you should be Bowl. Although you don't have one tonight, and that's okay.
No, you missed it.
Well,
Top ramen, so the finest of fine.
I see. You didn't have anybody to show off for, so you just took it easy tonight. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody deserves an off night. You have an early night, and it's gonna be an early morning, so I get you. And last but not least, the bearded badass himself. I don't know what to do with all this arm chanting. Like, he's feeling real good about himself, and I don't have a good name for you. So let's just stick with the bearded badass when I have nothing because it feels so sad. Punching his way into the
Nick, we already did Conan.
Red.
Calm down.
I'm boxing my way.
See what he did there?
I was helping you out. I'm trying to give you a hint.
I appreciate it. Nick, the bearded badass boxing his way into our hearts. I love it.
The boxing badass.
The boxing bearded badass. So tonight's movie is the Boxtrolls, and that was my pick. And this is I assume we're sticking along the lines of Animated August, which has so far been going very well. 2 weeks in, and we're crushing it. Which is part of the reason I picked this movie, but the other being it's always an interesting take for me when you get to see stop motion and major feature films, and there's a lot to talk about this one. Some things I'm getting excited about that I'm looking forward to talking about, but this was mostly just an animated stop motion movie that I figured most of you had not seen or maybe not have heard of, and just looking to see if you guys try something a little bit different, and hopefully you liked it. Not expecting this to be like an amazing groundbreaking movie for anybody, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Is there anybody who would like to volunteer to go first? Ooh, Nick shot his hand up. Go ahead, bud.
I really like this film. I never heard of it. I love stop animation. It's one of my favorite types of animation. And even though they intercepted like actual physical stop animation with computer generated stop animation, it blends really well together. And I think the story with the trolls themselves could be a little bit better, a little bit more significant. But in terms of the good guy, the bad guy, the lead character, support characters, the story is really fun. It's really entertaining, and it's not super heavy, which I like. Especially for like a time period that they're in. It's not so dark and so gritty. It still keeps it lighthearted. Yeah, there's some good jokes. I didn't laugh as much as I thought I would, but there were moments where a joke was said and I had a good chuckle. I give this a 4.4 out of 5.
Wow. All right. 4.4 out of 5. Sweet. That makes me feel so good. All right. So any volunteers for who would like to go next?
I've never seen this movie, nor have I heard about it. And I mean, couple just blanket thoughts here. I think first and foremost, I wanted more out of it. I honestly feel it could have been better, could have been more fun. The storyline was decent, but that's probably because I've seen the storyline before, almost verbatim. It's called a movie called Tarzan. A lot of this I feel kind of stole from Tarzan. It was like we're just going to have someone be, grown up with things among their kind that aren't their kind, but all of a sudden it becomes their kind, and then we're going to introduce a bad person, and the plot continues. So and then on top of that, I feel like a lot of like Tim Burton feel going on here. So to me, it was more of, and the other one that I felt was the Boxtrolls themselves were much like Minions. And so I'm just like, it almost seemed like a jigsaw puzzle of like different movies that were kind of being put together to form the Boxtrolls. And if you're going to do that, I mean, I don't discredit anyone for doing that. It's not like every single movie that's been made is original and came from original pieces, but try to be a little bit more creative with it. Try to give the entertainer a little bit, a little bit more, or the viewer a little bit more entertainment. I felt that the first almost 2/3 of the movie was pretty dry, and I was like, is anything going to happen? And then the last third really kind of kicked into gear, which is good. But this movie definitely had a lot more potential than I think it delivered, and I look forward to unpacking it with you guys. I gave this one a 3.3.
3.3. Okay. Yeah, not disagreeing with anything so far. Go ahead, Jen.
So I've never heard of this movie. I never watched a trailer, so I didn't know what to expect. And within like 10 minutes of the movie, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I was like, but I'm here for it. Like, it was very entertaining. It was super weird. And like, I don't know, I like weird. So the story itself, I guess that was really the only kind of letdown for me. It's weird because it's like an hour-and-a-half movie, and it felt like the beginning kind of dragged on and was just super random, and then we get to the main point like in the middle of the movie, which in a way made it feel longer than the 90 minutes that it was. Or it also made it feel like they just crammed like a lot of information at once. But all in all, it was really enjoyable. It was fun to watch. And I would probably watch it again, honestly, maybe see if I missed anything. And I am going to give this rating probably a 4.75.
Wow. Whew. I'm almost wishing I wasn't so harsh on this rating, but
Shocked
okay.
right now.
Okay. Wow. I'm mostly surprised to find out you guys had not even heard of this movie. But I'm glad that nobody actively hated it, so that's good. It's not my first time seeing this one. As you can see on our little poster, and I think it's even on the same image that Brian may have sent on Instagram and stuff. That this is from the same people who made Coraline and Paranorman. And as far as like vibes, it's right there along with it, where it kind of holds that whimsical darkness. So when Brian, you bring up Tim Burton, I mean, especially with, actually I'd even say both Paranorman and Coraline are very Tim Burton feeling. So I can see that along this one. It's just a little bit more whimsical. But this movie, I agree with you guys. The story, it's not perfect. It's not bad, but it's definitely, it could have used a little more meat. It could have used a little more, little bit extra to kind of like keep it going. Jen, I think you were saying it. Even Brian, I think you mentioned like the first 2/3 or something. But like it kind of starts off a little bit slow of building this world, And the tough part with that is, I mean, I realize that this is stop motion, and I think we'll get into it with how long it took to like how long this thing was in production. Like it's a lot of work, and I feel like it can be very difficult to be able to do all of that, the physical making of this stuff, and also be able to tell like a perfect story within it. Like it's a tough thing to do. But I do feel like the company that is making these movies, Laika, I think that they've been improving every time. Like things have gotten a little bit better each time. They're finding their place. They're finding their style, and I'm all for it. This is a fun one. I will go back to it. I don't think I own it yet, but I enjoy it. It's a cute movie every now and then. You can throw it on and kind of forget about it, but you can also sit there and enjoy it. I liked picking out the details and stuff that I was finding in it this time. Particularly all of the Madame Frou Frou posters around town at the very beginning. That it still throws me off. I'm looking forward to talking about that. But ultimately, I didn't give this movie too high a praise, although I really enjoy it. I still think it could certainly be better. And to go along with me trying to be a little bit more harsher with my my rankings, I gave this a 3.9. It's not terrible. I wanted to give it a 4.2, but that also felt like I was being a little too generous. So looking forward to hearing what that average is. I mean, you guys, Jim with the 4.7, Nick with the, was it 4.3, 4.4?
4-4.
4.4? Yeah, man, that makes me feel good. I mean, I may not be Brian who's fighting for top and bottom, but you know, I'm feeling pretty good about my scores.
It was 4.75.
4.75. Ooh,
Yeah.
even better. Thank you, Jen. Thank you for correcting me.
You're welcome.
That pretty much boils it down for why I picked it and all this good stuff. So I think we're ready to move on to the fun fact song. If Sir Nicholas is ready to serenade us with his white boy rap.
His beatbox.
He's gonna
Nice.
beatbox for us.
His beatbox troll rap.
All right, here we go. We got a film called The Boxtrolls. Brian's written fun facts on a scroll. We'll be eating fun facts like casserole, as Jen will be eating from her big bowl. Driving fun facts like cruise control. Sucking fun facts like glory holes. Debating fun facts like gun control. Limiting fun facts like birth control. I'm sorry, I am getting political. So let's talk about the fun facts of The Boxtrolls.
All right, man.
The Boxtrolls comes out in 2014. Directors Anthony Stacchi and Graham Annabelle. As far as their works and everything, nothing really truly stood out to me in general about any of them, with the exception of, I want to say it was Anthony, I think it was Anthony, that co-directed Open Season. If anyone remembers that one.
The cookie.
Open Season. That's the one with Martin Lawrence and
Ashton Kutcher, right?
thank you. I could not think of his name. Yes.
Yeah.
That one got like 3 sequels too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as ratings, we're giving this one 4.09 out of 5 stars.
I'll take it.
Letterboxd gives it 3.2. IMDb 6.8 out of 10. And Roger Ebert 3.5 out of 4 stars.
3.5. Okay.
3.5.
I feel like we haven't gotten a point from like a decimal from Raj in a while. He's been pretty solid with his.
Yeah. Budget is 60 million and worldwide gross 108.2 million. So good job, guys.
Yeah, an overwhelming success, but still successful.
Wait, can you repeat those?
60 million worldwide gross 108.2. So,
Okay.
you know, taking in 48 million profit, that's nothing to shake a stick at, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oscars, it did have 1 nominee and 0 wins, as well as Golden Globes, 1 nominee and 0 wins. And
Over the nominees.
the nominee is for both of them best animated feature.
Makes sense.
Yeah, best animated film of the year.
2014. What was it competing against?
Going against Song of the Sea.
Don't remember that one.
No idea. How to Train Your Dragon 2. Big Hero 6. And The Tale of the Princess Kaguya.
Probably an anime.
It looks anime, yes.
I am very curious about what that one is actually called. Was it? You said it was
Kaguya?
Kaguya.
Kaguya.
The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Oh, it is Studio Ghibli.
Oh, Studio Ghibli, yeah. Okay.
Who?
Studio Ghibli. It's like hand-drawn animation. It's a very specific style. Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, Howl's Moving Castle.
Ponyo.
Spirited Away.
Kiki's Delivery Service. Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, that's another one.
We're
I haven't
still
seen
in
that one.
GoodFlickas, right, Jen?
Yeah.
I guess you should watch more animated movies.
Yeah, more anime Flickas now.
Well, with this kind of reaction, I think I may try and pick a Studio Ghibli movie sometime then.
Ooh, maybe that'll be my next pick. Ooh.
Please don't.
Spirited Away is a really good movie.
That would be my pick, a Spirited Away.
I might be sick that day.
Why? Because you don't want to watch an animated movie? What's your problem?
Any guess on who took down the Boxtrolls?
I would say How to Train Your Dragon 2.
I kind of want to say How to Train Your Dragon 2, but there was another one. It was between
Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah, that one. See, that's is where I really find, because Big Hero 6 got a lot of follow up as far as like shows and things. I'm gonna stick with How to Train Your Dragon 2.
It was Big Hero 6.
Oh wow!
I should have known better than to go for a sequel.
Big Hero 6 took it down, everybody.
Yeah, it is a good movie though.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's a pretty fun one, especially if you can enjoy it like a sci-fi kind of like fantasy thing. It's fun.
As Matt talked about earlier, so Boxtrolls obviously stop motion animation. And I think we all know, but for anyone who's listening who doesn't know, how it works is everything is basically taken in 1 second frame, and you take that frame and then you piece them together. And then, yeah, exactly, Matt, you take a frame, you capture your frame, and then you move your object or clay animation or whatever animation you're doing, you move it just ever so slightly, and then you take the next frame, and then you move it again and you take the next frame. And that is essentially how this movie was produced, amongst the likes of Matt, I think you already said Coraline, and I'm trying to remember the other one, starts with a P.
Paranorman.
Thank you, Paranorman. But also anyone that's listening, another very, very famous stop motion picture is here I go blanking the name on it. Nightmare Before Christmas. So just to give you a little background on that. Okay, so the fun facts. All parts were recorded separately. So the actors go into the recording studio and they are not even in front of each other, and they're just single-handedly doing their own voiceovers, which I thought was pretty interesting. Quite the move, because obviously when you're filming a movie and you're going against you're acting alongside of someone, you can kind of go off their vibe, and if you're mad at them, you can look at them and be mad at them, or if you're happy with them, you're enjoying the time when you're with them. Where this is just, you have to imagine everything and that's being told to you on what's going on, and then you have to deliver. And for that, I give everyone that did a voiceover a lot of credit, because that probably could not have been easy. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I'm I'm with you. I'm not a huge fan that they do this, but with animated movies, it's pretty typical of having the voice actors record separately. It's more common to do it that way simply because if you're doing voice acting, you can record it anytime, anywhere. So you're typically able to work around actors' schedules. Especially with bigger names where it's physical actors who are now doing voiceover work. Like it's okay, they're probably working on a show or a movie or something. Well, here's a couple of hours a day. We just need you to get into an audio booth, say these lines.
Yeah.
Which I mean, like I said, it's typical for animation and that kind of thing, but I don't like it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of actors being able to react off of the people that they're in a scene with. And personally, I think the movies where they actually have the actors like in separate booths or whatever, but they're able to see each other, they're able to respond and react to each other. The chemistry that comes from that, it's there, right? Because they are acting because there's the person right there. They don't have to assume or pretend or do whatever. So I personal opinion, I think if you can get the actors into a room together and act, so much better than doing it separate. But I get why they don't.
I'll just say that with that, knowing that fact now, it did not sound like they were delivering these lines by themselves. Like they really did match. I thought they matched the tone pretty well in terms of what their reactions were to the other character. I never once thought like, oh man, like that line that they delivered does not match the reaction that should have been, from that previous line. So just props to them for doing it that way, because I didn't notice. Yeah.
Speaking of props, 20,000 props were handmade for this film. That's a lot.
That's a big number.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Do you know what I think the smallest
Yeah,
prop?
I have that.
Okay.
Smallest prop, sewing thread and a needle. They made it.
I was happy when like while watching the movie, because I had read that fact before watching it this go around, and like seeing the moment that it happens, I was like, yeah, that's a real bitch for like 2 seconds of footage, right? Like
Seriously.
Oh God.
Kingsley closed half of his mouth during the allergy scene, and he did it to make himself sound like he was swelling up and all that. So when he's recording, the actual actor Ben Kingsley closed half of his mouth and did the recording that way.
You know what else he did?
What?
He was horizontal while recording. I
didn't know that.
I don't understand the thought process behind it, but like to kind of feed into whatever this evil thing was that he was trying to draw from.
Yeah, I don't know.
He found it by making himself horizontal. So essentially he laid down to record this. I still don't recognize his voice. Like Ben Kingsley is incredible. I do not recognize him so often. I'm like, oh shit, that's him.
Yeah.
Was he also the voice of Bruce in Finding Nemo?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
But
I can see the connection. He does almost sound like him.
Yeah.
It's so weird. He sounds like the voice of Bruce, and his character looks like L.O. Poppet from Pirates.
From
Pirates. I'm just like, wow, it's like a mirror image of you right now.
Yeah.
I forgot his character name in Pirates. I just know him by the quote.
Hello, Poppet. I can't remember what his character's name is, but I actually remember him from so many other things. But the actual voice of Bruce is Barry Humphries.
The Boxtrolls was in production for 72 weeks.
How many months is that? That's a little over a year.
That's over a year. I believe it's
well over a year. It's almost a year and a half.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's 1.4. It's about. Yeah, it's almost a year and a half. It's just under a year and a half.
Yeah.
Insane.
The reason being is, like I told earlier about the frames.
They were lazy.
No, this film has 125,280 frames. In terms of the timing that we're talking about here, an average full-time animator can produce 3.5 seconds of film per week.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is,
Yep.
that is unbelievable to hear.
I think what the craziest part is to think about the actual hours behind that week of work to get 3 minutes of, or 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
3 seconds of footage, like the amount of hours.
It is absolutely insane. And if you think about it, 125,000 frames, that's 125,000 ways to make a mistake. It's really quite incredible when you start to see what some people, dedicate their lives to in the product, in the projects that they go through. Cheesebridge is based on Trowbridge, which is located in Wiltshire, England. This is from the stop motion studio Laika, who also gave Coraline.
Sorry, I have a question. I don't know if this is something you have an answer for.
Maybe.
Laika, is it the same? Because I didn't look this up and I didn't think about it until now. But is it the same company that makes the camera?
Oh, I did not look that up.
Okay, fair enough. I'll do that research just for my own.
Sure. This was based off of Alan Snow's Here Be Monsters book. But what they realized is, after going through the book, they realized that there was just so much that goes on in the book that they decided to kind of take a section or a segment of the book and then turn that into the movie, which is how we ended up getting the Boxtrolls. But if you were wondering, the book is called Here Be Monsters.
I am curious. I anytime we have something that's based off of a book or something, I always want to read it.
Yeah, I don't.
Wow.
Noted.
The flames came from an iPad on a loop video. In the referring to the machine that Snatcher was on. I don't know what to call it.
A mech.
Sure. Or a Megatron.
Mech.
Or it
was a Transformer.
Decepticon.
No,
that thing was evil. And anyway, that furnace, although it doesn't really look like it, that was actually a iPad that was in the mouth of it that was streaming on video loop. That's all I got for you folks.
As far as actors and things, I just want to give a shout out to Richard Ayoade. Ayoade. He is incredible. I can't remember. He's one of the red hats, the tall, lanky one that's always like, "Are we the villains?"
Oh, Mr. Pickles.
Is he Pickles? Okay. Because it's Pickles, Trout, and what was the other little guy? It was like Grizzle or something, right?
That's Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, Grizzle.
Grizzle.
Yeah, Mr. Pickles. I love that guy. He showed up for, I think it was Neighborhood Watch was like the big feature film that he was in over here in the States. But he's incredible. I want more of him. He's absolutely hilarious and just fantastic. If anybody has seen the IT crowd or the IT crowd, depending on how you pronounce it, he's just absolutely incredible. Check out any freaking game show on BBC. He's fucking hilarious.
Let's get into it.
Cool. So let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. This is actually kind of an interesting start. You're getting credits, you're getting scenes, you're getting all kinds of stuff that's happening as the credits are rolling at the beginning. And it's a little probably confusing at first, but what did you guys think of it, where you're basically witnessing this baby being kidnapped?
I had to go And watch, I missed it. All of a sudden, the kid came up out of nowhere, and I was like, maybe we should start it over. Like, there's just so much happening that it was hard to follow.
It was a little hard to follow, like what was happening. And it wasn't until like later in the film when you find out, like kind of like the backstory of why all of that was happening in the beginning. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, it was just hard to understand fully what was going on.
Yeah. Well, to expand a little bit more on like the intro scene. So we're getting the credits and you're hearing, I think you're mostly hearing in the background. The only like time you really see the Boxtrolls, I think it's fish with eggs, is that last moment before it fades to black and then it cuts to Snatcher like barging into the white hats. God, I had all of their names figured out, but Lord Flippity Flop, he's got that weird name, and they said it a billion times. But he barges in there to basically say like, hey, they've taken this kid. If you give me permission, I will take out all of these Boxtrolls, and when I do, I want my white hat. The way that it all plays out is relatively quickly, but it sets up everything for the rest of the movie. And I do kind of think it's a little bit of a fault. Like, this is a moment where I kind of wish that there was maybe a bit of a chase, right? That we got to see of like the Boxtroll, like Fish is running and he's being chased down by the red hats, and he turns and he does his little and then disappears. And then it cuts to like, oh, they've taken the, because at that point, it like there's a bit more of the intensity, the tension of something bad has happened. We can hear a baby screaming and we see a monster. So now we're starting to make these assumptions. But then we get like our first introduction to Snatcher, who, in my opinion, looks gross, is gross, will always be gross, and screams villain straight from the beginning. So it kind of ruins somewhat of the illusion of you're trying to make the Boxtrolls look bad, but it's the problem of we need to make our villain feel and look like a villain, and we need the falsehood of these Boxtrolls to be realistic for it to be believed until we get to meet them right after the scene, really, of like, no, they seem pretty great. Like, it quickly turns it really fast for the Boxtrolls where we're like, no, they're great, but it doesn't make us hate Snatcher as much as it should. When that kind of time changes, it's just like, this is just a gross, evil dude, and he's going to do some bad stuff. Go ahead, Brian.
As close as you were with Flippity Flop, it was Lord Portly.
There's something more.
Portly Rind. Portly Rind.
Portly Rind.
So
there's something about that damn name that is killing me.
You're really close with Flippity Flop, but we'll keep at that, okay?
Okay.
Now, in terms of what you were just saying, I personally even questioned if they were trying to make the trolls look evil or not, or what, because if they are, that's just a bad move in general, because of exactly what you were saying with Snatcher. But even additionally, you're 2-3 minutes later, maybe, I think, you're giving me a montage on how amazing these trolls are. And I'm like, so what's the point here? What was the point of even trying to like trick me into like thinking that these guys are bad when we're just going to move this rapidly into the storyline? I really hope that they weren't trying to make them look bad. And anyway, go ahead, Nick.
Did you have a response, or can I go?
Oh, you're good.
Okay. So the whole thing with the trolls is that Snatcher was making them out to be bad, saying that they're just pests that come out in the night and plague the city. So that was kind of like Snatcher's way of saying like, oh, like they're evil, we have to exterminate them just because they're pests. The trolls like are not actually evil themselves or like do bad things.
I know that, but in the very, very beginning of the movie, they made the animators actually showed the trolls looking like they were evil. That's what I was like.
In what sense?
Their eyes, they
Yellow
were growling,
eyes, hissing.
They were, yeah.
I don't know if that equates to being evil. but like just like a gremlin, a poor like creature. Like I don't know if it's like the same type of evil as you would say Snatcher's evil.
I would argue that. So the intro of this, I do believe that they're trying to kind of not necessarily trick you or force you into thinking that the Boxtrolls are bad or evil, but they do want you to think that, like, in that moment, like you said, the yellow glowing eyes and the hissing, like they're supposed to seem mean, they're supposed to seem aggressive or scary in that moment. And I think where this intro fails is that it doesn't really do a good job of illustrating what a pest they've been before this moment. Like if there was a little bit of and I'll even just call it dialogue that's going on over maybe extended credits of we're hearing the Boxtrolls like crashing or pulling things apart, and like you've got you can hear townsfolk screaming like, oh, they're taking my wheels, you know, or whatever. Like there's chatter, there's noise about the nuisance that is the Boxtrolls that leads then into the moment of Snatcher and the rest of the Red Hats chasing down Fish to get eggs back. Because in that moment, even though they look bad and everything, we could at least start to kind of feed into the idea that they are at least trying to get this kid back, which obviously they're not necessarily trying to do, but that's what they're trying to sell for us. And it just doesn't work so much because we get that little moment. It's small. It's what I would call minuscule. And then we get this heavier moment with Snatcher, who is a much longer scene. It's heavier dialogue. And we see that this person is bad. We can tell that this person is bad. And that's when we get led into like, yeah, that's the bad guy. The Boxtrolls, really freaking cool. Look at all the stuff they do. Look how amazing they're taking care of eggs. He's so freaking loved. Like they didn't do a good enough job of trying to get us to buy into the fact that the trolls are a problem before showing us how great they are.
My whole viewing of the Boxtrolls was just me going, wow, they're kind of adorable, like the entire time. You know, even if they did kind of look, groggy looking and the yellow eyes and the hissing, I was like, they're kind of adorable little creatures that might be like, I don't know, misunderstood, or, they don't mean harm, but it's all they know to do is just to kind of go out at night. And I just feel like the film didn't really illustrate them as appearing to be evil.
I do have a quote from it that I just wrote down because I thought it was funny. It's Snatcher who's trying to get inside and is like, the unspeakable has happened. We must speak of it immediately. Like there's a couple of moments of dialogue throughout this movie where I think it's actually Snatcher quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Like saying something is impossible, we have to make it possible, or it like just like these definites of how we have to break this definite.
Yes.
I just thought it was funny. Yeah.
I mean, there was definitely quick wit throughout the movie. You'd have to just be really pinned because sometimes they just do it so quick, or, so quickly that if you weren't listening, you missed it. It's done.
Well, they don't make a big deal about it either, right?
Exactly. There's no pause for laughter. It's just moving on.
Yeah.
Well, even in the beginning, like in one of the first scenes when Snatcher is leaving the Lord's house, he was like, then you'll say bye-bye to Brie, cheerio to your cheddar, and goodbye to Gouda. Like just making all these like bye puns with cheese. And I just, like fun little moments like that, like sprinkled throughout the film. I'll just say, like, I think the intro is the weakest part of the film.
Which is a sad thing. That's not the way you want to start a movie.
Yeah. It does get better in Act 2 and Act 3.
I think the first hour is the weakest part of the film.
Oh, I was just saying the first half
50
hour.
50 minutes. Maybe I'll go 50 minutes. 50 minutes is the worst part of the film.
I think that there are some slow parts for sure. And there are a few moments of like time lapses at the beginning where we're seeing the Boxtrolls being taken and they're losing more and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a couple of moments like that of like these little montage moments that could either be smaller or make way for some dialogue. Let's hear what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, just even off of that, it starts to make you wonder as within the first 10 minutes of the movie, it just instantly makes you wonder, is there just a ton of box trolls, or is Snatcher the worst exterminator that's ever been alive? I mean, he had his arrangement starting when Eggs was just a baby, and now Eggs is like a 14, 15-year-old, and we're still chasing we're 15 years of this shit.
I would guess
Like
not 15.
how many trolls do you have to catch, or how bad are you at your job? Which is it?
Well, I'll make this argument. I would think that they started off pretty badly as troll hunters.
Well, yeah,
As they started catching more and more, they were able to create traps, like because they would use them to build them things to trap them. You get that freaking car, right? Like, I mean, that who do you see any other vehicles in this thing besides what they're driving around? It's like the box trolls hook them up with, unfortunately, the tools to catch them, which I think is why they don't start making a whole lot of like progress until 10 to 12 years later. I don't think this kid is 15 or 16. There's no way.
I don't know.
I mean, look at the girl. I mean,
that's true.
Winifred, like she's got to be like 12, 13.
That's true.
Shit, she could be 8 years old. I don't know.
They were clearly the most adult of the crew there.
I don't want to get too far off on like nitpicks and complaints and things, but like going along with like these montages and stuff where I feel like they may have wasted some of their time. We don't get any context or explanation for Winifred and her father. We don't get any context or explanation for why she's so freaking into darkness and death. And like, I mean, there's a lot of conclusions that can be made based off of what they did give us, but she is a main character that I mean, the fact that Eggs is with the box trolls, we accept that. We don't need to know a whole lot. He's living with them. He's playing music. He's doing his thing, living his box troll life. But she's living a life as well, and we don't get any of it. We just see her like, oh my god, box trolls, I should tell my dad. She goes to tell her dad, and he's just actively ignoring everything that she has to say, and he's like just not giving two shits about anything that she's got to say or do. And sure, we can chalk that up to he's just a dad who just is oblivious and is doing his own thing, but she's got a mom. We see her later. She says 2 words, voiced by Toni Collette. Like, what a waste of talent, but all right. Like, those are the things where I think that if the script had kind of dug into and expanded a bit more on some of the other characters and connecting them to the main story, it would have a bit more bite. All right. Does anybody want to go first for the scene of the movie?
I kind of struggled on this one a little bit, but I ended up finally coming to a conclusion. So I've titled it So Much Pleasure.
I feel like this is somebody who's a glutton for cheese when they shouldn't be.
I think I know what scene this might be, but
that's where I'm like, I'm fighting myself. I'm like, I don't know. That's it. You're just giving us a title drop.
That's what we do. I'm keeping to the rule.
Just the
and then we have to just think about what that scene might be until it's talked about. I title my scene Cheese Explosion.
Okay. Jen, would you like to go next or last? I've got mine.
Yeah, mine is They're Alive.
They're alive.
Okay.
Mine is entitled He's Naked.
Okay. All right, so all 4 different scenes.
Yes.
Since you guys didn't know what mine was, it's when he is introduced to the rich society for the first time in a ballroom.
Oh, when Eggs is introduced into the ballroom?
It's a pleasure to meet you. Dude, that plate of cheese is incredible.
Yeah, so like I said, I just titled it So Much Pleasure.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, I like it. I'll get lost on that one for a second. Like I said, that cheese plate. I love how as he's going around, he's just it's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you. Like just like doing his own thing, and then discovering the table of cheese. Well, discovering the table of cheese that just happens to be occupied by a ladybug that looks absolutely delicious. And then he just starts stuffing his face like any box troll would, right? He's shoveling everything into his face. And then what is it? You got these high society people that are looking like, and he's like, oh, bleh, spits it out onto the plate. And he's like, and then the ladybug flies out. That's what gets me. He never ate the ladybug. The first thing in his mouth, and he never ate it.
Well, so I wrote down this scene for a couple of reasons. I guess the first one is I kind of love when movies tend to shove mirrors in people's faces on the way people, people act and everything. And this movie did a really good job at portraying the stuck-up, richer than life personality of snooty people. And it's just from the fact of their wealth is cheese. And it's like, that's how ridiculous you guys are, is if you don't have cheese, you're not in our club. And again, this is my way of looking at how people sometimes portray the rich and snooty, where they just look down at you and belittle you for what you don't have because of what they have. And I felt that it was a great message that was coming across. The way that they even made the rich look, they didn't even look that great. Like their clothes were good, but their actual features themselves were quite hideous. And to me, I'm like, I think you're portraying in real life the riches. And I'm not saying all rich people are like this, but I've definitely come across many rich people that are 100% like this, to where it's your ugliness is revealed on the outside. Like the ugliness of your personality is being revealed to me on the outside through this movie. And I really appreciated it. But mostly what I loved about this scene is just how this eggs is just completely foreign to the human world in general. I mean, it's basically like ET all over again. And he's going into the ballroom and he's such a sponge where it's like, I'm told to do something by Winnie, I'm gonna do it. And then you find out it's not just Winnie that's influencing him, it's basically anyone. He's just so easily influenced because he's going around saying like, it's a pleasure to meet you, and then he goes, it's a pleasure to meet you even if I don't mean it. and just all of this. But then all of a sudden he starts to weird people out, and you catch this one quick scene of a girl like doing like this. And then Eggs is like, I knew it. And then it's a pleasure to meet you, as he's like frantically waving his hands in the air. And I'm just like, I thought this scene was perfect. And it was making me laugh. And then you already highlighted how he is around the cheese buffet and everything. And just everything that he's doing that they did in this particular scene is just, it's lights out. They really grilled the cheese on this one. Go ahead.
They did. Yeah, they did. I'm gonna make myself a grilled cheese later. But I completely agree with you, Brian, on like the holding a mirror up to high society and these uber rich people, to the point I think that's almost exactly what the white hats are supposed to represent, is this I mean literal just the corruption of government officials. These guys,
yes.
When we see them together, they're supposed to be having a meeting about, okay, we need to talk about these bylaws. It's been sitting on our table for months. It's like, yeah, but what about this cheese? I'm like, oh, well, we got to try the cheese. It's like, so they don't care. But in this scene in particular, he says out loud to these people, the money we raised for a children's hospital, we thought would be better used for this, a giant wheel of brie cheese.
Yeah.
That was a better investment than a children's hospital.
I wrote that down as a quote.
I put that as a nitpick.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a head scratcher. That just straight fired me. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I think it's an extreme example, but I think it's exactly what you're saying. Is like, it's showing a mirror to the people of like, they don't care about the people below them. They don't think about the people below them. I mean, key example, Lord Penny Smasher and his daughter. Portly Rind. I'm gonna get it. There it is. Portly Rind. Lord Portly Rind. Like she technically has status below him, and the only thing he cared about were his 3 other white hat members and Madame Frou Frou. That's it. That's all he cared about.
Yep.
cheese, his white hat, and Madame Frou Frou. You know, I don't think you could say it any other way. Like it's the corruption. This is what can happen with people in power.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, like, you can't also forget about when Eggs is kissing that woman's hand. He kisses it once, and she's like, "Ooh!" And then he kisses it like 2 more times. She's like into it, and then he licks her arm.
Too far. Okay. Hey, he found the line.
Oh my god! Well, he was trying to see how far he could take that kiss. Like, how much more could I do to flatter this woman? It's like, oh, okay, licking her arm is too far.
Too far. Got it. So
at one point he says, "Which are the women?" He's so foreign to this world, he can't even distinguish between male and female.
All the trolls look the same.
Well, they all seem to be asexual.
It's great.
Yeah. I missed the part where the girl was waving her hands. Like, I remember him saying, like, I knew it, and then going around. But I blinked. I don't know.
He catches her on the left corner. That's all I remember, because he was like, I think this is after he had grossed people out, and so now he's basically the grotesque of the ballroom, and so anyone that's near him is gonna get infested with whatever he's got. And so she freaked out with her hands up, and that was his way of saying, like, I'm in. They accept me. And he just rips through the entire ballroom, just screaming, "It's a pleasure to meet you," hands waving. Don't think I might gonna do that to you guys.
It's got balls.
It's a pleasure to see you.
Oh man.
Yeah. To me, it's definitely the scene of the movie.
It is a good one.
Yeah, cheese explosion. I love the idea of Archibald really wanting this cheese and not being self-aware that he's allergic to this cheese. And so I love the callback to it, because you see it the first time and it's like a minor, allergic reaction, but then towards the end of the film, he sits down, he's ready, he has his cheese, and he just keeps getting bigger and more infected. I don't know, allergic, ballooning. Then you hear his stomach rumbling, and I was like, oh, I think I know what's about to happen. I thought he was going to throw up. I did not expect for him to explode. It just, it caught me off guard, and it was funny. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, that leads me into one of my questions. I'm not gonna call him Archibald. Did Snatcher actually explode, or was that just the most epic and raunchiest of lactose intolerant farts?
He exploded.
I don't think he did, because that's ridiculous. And when Winifred at the end is telling her story, I'm like, an explosion of cheesy guts and blah blah. I'm like, I realize that that's how exciting it would be for you, and that's the kind of story you like telling. But I don't believe that is what happened. I mean, to say that it's impossible, like I could believe it. I can believe that Snatcher would have exploded. Sure, I just, based on the fact that it's an orange cheese dust cloud, I'm putting my money on the world's worst fart.
Are you trying to say that this movie is realistic?
Yes, he is.
I'm trying to say that eating cheese would not have an allergic person explode in this universe, but it would cause a massive gastric explosion.
Okay, Matt, did you not see how his allergic reaction was with his face?
Like, he's
deathly allergic to cheese.
Yeah, he would have dropped dead before he exploded.
Yeah, his throat would have swelled up, and he would have lost his airway.
The fact that he was able to take another bite of cheese.
We're gonna break this down.
I was just saying, like, to take another bite of cheese to really put him over the edge, like.
Yeah, but he keeps ballooning and getting bigger and bigger. Like, you're just gonna explode after that.
Person who's stung by a bee? They swell up. Have you seen somebody who eats peanuts? They swell up. Have you seen that's what happens.
And they all explode.
Exactly. Cheesy guts everywhere.
They don't explode.
You heard it here first. It'll explode.
Nick, I too wrote down this scene. I titled it "He's Such a Cheese Puff."
See, that's what I thought of when I saw that cloud of cheese dust. Like that's what I thought of. Although it kind of I'm curious if they did this, but it reminded me of like the mac and cheese powder.
Nice.
I'm curious if they used that to like.
Not a bad guess.
I'm curious.
Yeah,
it's a good scene. It's sad that he's
no longer with us.
Drive for just wanting cheese that badly.
It's not.
Well, it's not just the cheese. It's like he wants the status. He wants to fit in.
the tasting room status and all that, and he's actually willing to put his body through physical pain to get it. Again, there's a little bit of mirror there.
So interesting. But just while we're on it with like the talking, like you had mentioned the first time that he eats the cheese, and we're seeing. I just love that whole interaction of his crew. Like, you know what happened last time? Do we really want to do this? It's like, what are you talking about? It was fine. Yeah. What's the big deal? And then they're cutting that little cube up and like, give him as little piece of possible. And he's like, give it to me. And like, okay. And then like slow, like I love how they are fighting so hard not to give him this cheese.
They move the table just a quarter inch when he goes to stab the
whips it around so he can get that cheese. I like the moments of him eating cheese. They are funny as hell, but God, do you ever actually feel sorry for Snatcher?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm just curious. Like,
he's a bad man.
He's a bad man.
That's for you, Matt.
Thank you. I didn't know if I was going to say it tonight, but that was a good time for it. Jen, what was your title again?
They're alive.
They're alive. Okay. They're naked, but they're alive.
They're alive. It was a good scene because, like, you don't know the whole movie. You're thinking that they're being killed off, and then they're gone, and then for him to discover like his whole family is still alive. It was a cool moment.
So, question for the group: who thought they were actually murdered, and who thought they weren't? Basically, who got tricked?
Wait, I need a little recap on what the scene was again.
So they've captured all of the Boxtrolls. They've captured eggs. He's met his dad for the first time, and they're stacking all of the boxes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'll go full disclosure. I didn't.
That's the dying part, but to be more clear with Jen's scene, it's them showing up after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did not get tricked. I noticed something very subtle, and I'm like, oh, that was good. That was really, really good. When they got them in the boxes, and you can see the boxes are absolutely like trembling because
guys, this is the wrong scene.
What?
We're talking about the death scene, but her scene was them not being dead.
Are you talking about them
running and like attack?
No, I'm talking about when they open up the floor and he discovers for the first time they're alive.
Oh, that
very first time he sees that they're alive. Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
they're not naked.
No.
Can I continue what I was saying? Then we'll go to yours.
That's fine because I'm gonna head out soon.
I just noticed that the boxes were shaking like crazy because they were all basically underneath this crusher, and they're stacked and they know that this is it. And you see that the boxes are shaky, and then you start to hear Eggs give his little pep speech. And then right before the thing goes down, you see that the boxes are completely still. And I'm like, you sneaky bastards, you got out somehow. And then whoosh, it crushed it. I was like, you didn't get me. I saw those still boxes. So I was just kind of curious if anyone else thought that they actually killed the Boxtrolls or not.
I did. I was like, I was so sad. I was like, I can't believe they did that. Like, where does the movie go from here? It was sad.
I didn't. I thought that they had gotten out too, but I thought that they would have escaped like going vertically down, like they dug their way down and out
Through
instead
metal?
of like going out back.
Through a metal press.
Yeah, but it was just a little bit different on how they escaped. But I wasn't tricked. I was like, nah, this is they can't just kill them all. Like I don't know. I feel like that would have been too dark for the tone of the film, and especially with how those boxes were smashed. Like it would have been like, I don't know, smashing like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like just like you know, splat out the sides, and I'm like, there's no way that this film would have gone that far.
I thought they were keeping it clean. Like I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, like a Looney Tunes kill or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like a flatten, you know.
You just need the sign. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Exactly, like the like Wile E. Coyote, you know, doing the sign. Yeah. Go ahead,
Okay,
Matt.
well, apologies, Jen, for not getting the They're Alive part. So what did you want to speak about your true They're Alive part?
Well, I said it. I was like, it was a really happy moment because, like, this whole time we're thinking that they're dead because they're just been getting exterminated off the streets and then they're gone. But then he finds them. A happy moment.
I liked the continuity of the press scene where, like Brian, like you said, you can notice that something's off or something's different. And I like how the first time you see it, it could just be seen as, oh, they're gonna run. They're listening to him, like that's why they've stopped shaking. They're gonna run. They're gonna do it, and then done. Like, oh no. Like and then you get the rest of the story, and I like the continuity there. So like it's all plausible. It all feels real. And that's a big deal for the Boxtrolls to leave their boxes. I mean, that is literally their place. So I really like that. But Jen, to go to your actual scene, like it's an interesting moment because up until then, you assumed every Boxtroll that was taken was instantly murdered. It was taken somewhere, killed. Like that was just the assumption because you had no reason to think anything else.
Yeah.
And then the floor opens up and it shows them building stuff, and you're like, oh, they're using them. Oh, what are they built? Like now, like the whole story changes in that moment. Like it's a big turning event of the Boxtrolls are alive. Who's this random dude that's screaming jelly? And what the fuck is going on? I thought these guys were dead. Like what is happening here? And you do kind of get like a really fun escape. There's it's one single shot that I absolutely love where they use the entire frame. It's when Winnie walks in and she says the Trump, was it Trump what is his name? Trump Shaw?
Is it Trump Shire Boy?
It's Trump Shaw. Is it Trump Shaw? God, these names are just odd.
Oh, Trip Shaw. It's a Treb Shaw baby.
See, nobody's getting it right.
Treb Shaw.
Either we know what I'm talking about, but
it's the T Shaw baby.
Yes, but when she walks in, there's a shot where they've literally stretched the entire screen that there is something happening. You've got Mr. Pickles over here with his gun. You've got Eggs and what's his name, Grizzle, up on the beam. Like they are using the entire space, and because it's claymation, because it's stop motion, this is real, and it's beautifully okay, you've got these guys just so perfectly placed, and you're using the entire set. That is something that I love. You built an entire set and you're showing the entire set, and it looks awesome.
When he just randomly fires the gun just completely offline.
Yes.
It was like a 4-second delay, and then just
It's- that yes, I do love this scene. It's a big moment, and I God, it's funny, but particularly that shot, that still of them spread out. I think it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that was a cool shot.
Great composition, and again, I love when they use an entire frame, like they use an entire set like that. Good scene, Jen. Good scene. Mr. Grizzle is a psychopath, though. Every time that dude gets a chance, it's like, I get to kill something, hit it. Like, I mean, freaking psychopath. And the fact that he was so willingly chasing around this child, I think, I mean, he might have the greatest ending to any scene in this movie of, I'm swinging on a chain, crashes through a window and is flying at these guys and just face plants on the manhole. Like, it's hilarious. But
he also says, I'm flying on a cage. And then
yeah, like he just
in the beginning. Yeah.
He just screams random shit. And I think the most 4 words, like that's his longest sentence.
It was a really cool overhead shot of them all just like in their pit of doom.
Yes.
And then you're like, wow, just in terms of animation, I was like, I don't know how they did that, but that took so much work and great job.
Yeah, really like it. Really like it. For me, my scene was he's naked, and it's not the end. It's the first moment where Eggs is walking and waddling and bounces out of his box, and the box troll see him outside of his box for the first time. I freaking lose it. It's this baby who has no idea what's going on. He's fully clothed, yet every one of those box trolls. And you got Fish who throws the box on. I was like, okay, we're good now. It's a funny thing to establish with the box trolls of like when they're out of their box, they are literally naked and it's scary for them. It's just such a fun way of doing it of this poor baby who has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of like taking your collar off of your dog.
And just watching them do zoomies.
No. You take your collar off of your dog and you're like, oh, you're naked. Like, because you don't have your collar on.
I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, because they have actual clothes for dogs now. Doesn't feel
well, back when I was a kid.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, when I took my collar off my dog, I was like, ooh, you're naked. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a particularly long or thoughtful scene, but that is the scene that I always think of. It just makes me laugh. So yeah, it
is a funny scene.
It's just I think it's even during like the montage of him growing up. So it's like,
yeah,
it's a small thing. But if nobody has anything to add, I think now is probably a good time to take a break and let Jen get to bed so she can get 4 hours of sleep.
Sorry to cut it short, guys. I'm letting down the team, but I need my sleep or I'm no good for anybody. So
you unfortunately have real jobs.
Final thoughts is I really enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun. And I'm happy that I saw it. And I didn't know, like I've heard of, what's it called? Staymation? Stop and go?
Stop animation.
Stop animation.
Stop animation. Or...
Animation? I like that.
Staymation.
Claymation. Claymation or stop motion.
Yeah.
I like Staymation. That's
Staymation.
That's gonna be a new production. That's gonna be a new production studio.
So the Staymation, I like it. It's very creative and I always appreciate a slower process of things. And who wins the movie? I gotta say the big fat mirror that it puts in people's faces. That wins it for me. There was so many mirrors being put in this movie, and it was very, but it was tastefully done. So yeah, that's it.
Nobody should be offended, just do better.
What?
I said nobody should be offended, just do better.
Just do better. Just look at that mirror. Which one speaks to you? But yeah, that's it. And then, do you guys want to hear next week's movie now? Yeah.
I think so.
All right. I'm sure that we've all seen this, but we were talking about it so much during the Finding Nemo pick that I just had to pick it. And for animation August, we're going with The Lion King. OG Lion King.
Okay.
Okay. I was expecting you to say Finding Dory, but okay.
Dude, same. I was like, we talked about that movie so much.
So much last time, but yeah,
because The Lion King, I forgot why we talked about The Lion King, but I was like, oh, that's the one. I'm gonna pick that one.
It's the number one grossing animated film.
It was the movie that Nemo beat.
That eventually,
that's right.
Yeah.
Jen, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Jen.
I know it sucks when you got to get up for those early days, and nobody blames you. You got to do what you got to do, and sleep is important. Don't let anybody tell you any different.
I got a sleep mask today. That should be so nice.
That's why you really want to go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm an instant gratification person too. Like, I bought it, I want to use it. But yeah, we will. The rest of us will see you guys back here in about 5 to 10 minutes. Welcome back to GoodFlickas, home of the GoodFlickas, where we are talking about the Boxtrolls. We are one GoodFlickas short for the rest of the show, but that doesn't mean we won't be as entertaining as ever.
Snatcher got her.
He did. She got too excited about the Boxtrolls, found her, took her down. But yeah, so we're back from break. We've already kind of started to get into the Boxtrolls a little bit, so already verging a little bit from our typical show run, but that doesn't matter because we're doing great. I've got one big question.
Ooh.
One big question for this entire town.
You have my attention.
Why does everybody love Madame Frou Frou? Why are all of the men...
I mean, let's just have the Madame Frou Frou discussion, because there's a lot to unpack with her.
There certainly is. My actual question for you guys, though, is when did you realize Madame Frou Frou was Snatcher?
Immediately.
Yeah.
Just jagged.
So
else seemed to notice.
Let's start with, one of my head scratchers was how is this a disguise for Madame Frou Frou and Snatcher? And but so like I said, let's just unpack it. We'll start with your question. Why does the town love Madame Frou Frou? My only guess is because she is a street entertainer, and what she entertains is how horrible these Boxtrolls are. So it's like she is basically feeding everyone the Kool-Aid that they want to hear, that they want to drink. And by doing that, they're essentially, brainwashed to where she's just this epic performer, quote unquote, who has the same feeling for Boxtrolls that they do. Therefore, that's why they like her and appreciate her. That's just me taking a swing here. Go ahead, Nick.
I mean, to add to that, it's a number of things, but that probably the big one. The other big one I would say too is that, I mean, it's a Snatcher is in drag essentially, and Frou Frou is like an entertainer, and she's eccentric and like vivacious and all of this, and the town like that's entertaining for people, but also kind of what Brian's saying is like the context and the story of what she's singing about is also captivating. And just like I feel like during this time, it's like performances was like the only source of entertainment. And when you have one entertainer, like everybody is gonna love them, I guess. Not a whole lot of competition.
Her competition is walking around as a one-man band
and crushing it.
Yeah, he is doing a great job. Like, good for him. But that's the competition that she's looking at here. So
yeah,
it's almost as if by default, this is the person that we love because this is all we have.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
All fair. All of it's fair. It brings up a lot of questions about Snatcher that we'll get into later. But okay, so we'll chalk it up to the fact that Madame Frou Frou is the town's entertainer. That's pure and simple, is the star entertainer, and it's clear that I'm just going to stick with the Madame Frou Frou personality. She performs all of the time. It's not just on the Trump Shaw baby. Trump Shaw. Trump Shaw. I'm going to figure this damn name out. It's not just
Treb Shaw. Treb Shaw.
But it's not Treb Shaw, is it?
I don't think it's Treb.
We'll get onto this later.
Trub Shaw.
Trub Shaw.
Trub Shaw.
You keep talking. I'll look it up for you.
Thank you. So it's not, that's not the only story that she's singing about. It's not the only song that she sings. Like she's an entertainer, and I can see that appeal. I can see it was pretty entertaining for what it was. But it doesn't necessarily explain why all of the men are goo for her. Like the Lord, damn it, I had his name. Lord Whippersnapper was in love with Madame Frou Frou to the point, like, I mean, I basically walking and running away from his own wife, who was much better looking, by the way, to go after Madame Frou Frou. It's another interesting thing. Go ahead, Nick.
It's also the no sleeves, the makeup, the big hair, the heels, like that's why Lord Portly Rind is like attracted to that because she's Frou Frou is sexualized,
slutty,
sexualized, and also too, like the townsmen they're a bunch of sheep. Like they all are too dumb to not realize that Frou Frou is Snatcher, and
baby,
and that they're all like on board with Frou Frou's agenda. And they're a bunch of sheep, and that's why they all love her. But and the Lord Portly Rind loves her for different reasons. Like I said, because of the whole, the way she dresses and wears hair and makeup and all that. It's very taboo. Go ahead, Brian.
I have Nick's word that has been killing him. I'm sorry, not Nick's. Matt's word that's been killing him.
Is it Trebshaw?
You're very close.
Or Trubshaw?
Trub. Trub.
Okay, yeah.
Shaw. Trubshaw. The Trubshaw baby.
Trub.
And I don't need to double down on what you're saying, Nick, but basically, in answer to your question, Matt, is Frou Frou is the one that isn't afraid to look more ladylike than most of the others, and that's probably why they're also into her as well.
Looking all slutty and get the boys. I get it. So, okay, just because I said I was going to bring this up, and it all adds to the same line of questioning. This is where some backstory would be really interesting for Snatcher.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he want this white hat so badly? Why is he willing to make a deal to kill a bunch of Boxtrolls to get it? And what is the deal with being Madame Frou Frou? I can only imagine it was another attempt of gaining status, but to what end? I think this may be an example of somebody who is maybe transgender in a time where they couldn't be transgender before that was really a thing. I kind of got the feeling that Snatcher felt more at home as Miss Frou Frou, more in control, more alive, I guess, like every other time you see Snatcher is very much is down, upset, angry, aggressive. But as Madame Frou Frou control the situation, prominent in the town, they love her, confident. People praise her. That they don't praise Snatcher, they praise Madame Frou Frou.
I don't think Snatcher's motives go that deep in terms of why he's doing all this, like why he wants the white hat, why he becomes Frou Frou. I think it's just ego, really. Just he's more kind of a narcissist. But I have to disagree with the whole liking being Frou Frou, because the ballroom scene that Brian mentioned earlier, Frou Frou has no control over anything in that scene. When she's in that like little closet or whatever, she gets pulled out by one of the guests dance with her, and she doesn't have control in that situation. And then even while the dances are happening, she's trying to catch eggs, and she doesn't have control of that either. I think Frou Frou is really just like a mask to get people to follow Snatcher's ideals.
I'm not to discredit any of that, but also you have to remember that Madame Frou Frou was the guest of honor at that whole banquet. That's so she's supposed to be the star. She's supposed to be involved with everyone, dancing with everyone. Like it's, of course, that's out of her control, but she's also the most prominent person there because basically it's for her. But that's where I think just with the ego thing, I agree with you.
It's just power and status. That's really all what that motive is.
We don't need to harp on Frou Frou and everything for forever, but I think it's interesting that this character exists. And we can even have this conversation within a freaking stop motion child's animation movie, right? Like this, there's I'm sure that there was at least one family that had to go home and explain to their child what Madame Frou Frou was.
It's really interesting. I mean, you bring it up, child story. It's interesting that this is a children's story. It pushes the envelope a little bit for a child's story.
I mean, maybe I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I personally, I like that they are making children's movies a bit more aggressive in this sense that,
right.
So has anybody seen Lightyear?
Yeah.
Actually, I think we saw it together, didn't we, Nick?
Did we?
I don't know. Doesn't matter. In Lightyear, there is a gay couple. There's a lesbian couple. And I mean that like it's not even a major part of the movie. It's not. It doesn't have a heavy plot point. It's just a fact. It's just a fact within this movie. Yet it caused a freaking uproar with families and parents and stuff of like, you can't have gay people. Like it doesn't make sense to me. And I like, because again, this is a great example of no matter what the motives, this is a man in drag, which for the longest of times has been very taboo and uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about or deal with. I like that in examples like this, where this is a movie for children, there's a character that's doing this, that it's going to go right over their heads. A child's not going to look into that. It's not going to mean anything to them in the moment.
No, to a child, that's like them looking as, oh, they're playing dress up.
Exactly. I mean, Bugs Bunny wore a dress how many times?
Yeah.
It's just, it's not, they don't comprehend it that way. Adults do. But it's representation as well. And that's what's ultimately important, right? You can't cut these things out because parents don't want them. They exist. These are real people that have these attributes to themselves. Put them into movies. They don't have to be the star. They don't have to be the whole main plot point of the movie, but they exist. They're human beings that exist. Put them in movies. Don't hide them or pretend like they don't. This is for this movie, like I'm trying to get to with this example of having this within it, is a child will watch this, it's going to fly right over their heads. But as they get older, they go back, they remember these things, or they talk about these things. Now this has context. Now it has meaning, and adults are trying to find that meaning. We're talking about these things, right? Like we're discussing what's the intent behind this? What's the intent behind that decision? Like that's what you gain as an adult. As a child, it doesn't matter, but representation does.
I know we touched on this scene, but I kind of wanted to just circle back to it because we didn't talk about the beginning of it. I titled it Jelly Box Boy. And it's just, to me, this scene was a complete out of left field where I'm like, what turn did we just make in this movie? Where this is when Eggs has now been captured. And the very next scene, you get someone hanging upside down, looking like Tom Cruise from Castaway. And he's saying jelly. And you're just like, what left turn did we just make here? But it was so funny. Like, I don't know. It was Simon Pegg was the voice actor, and it was for the character Herbert Trubshaw. And just the whole jelly, if I'm good, I get jelly. But then he goes on to like he's trying to identify or examine eggs, and he's like, he dresses like a box boy, but he looks like a human. And then he's like, I forgot what he calls him, like I know he calls him box boy, but he also calls him something else, and he's cracking himself up. And it was a very entertaining couple of minutes that then leads to the scene that we already talked about the trolls being squished and escaping and all that stuff. And then you see how excited Herbert is, because he actually has the vantage point where he can see the trolls leaving and escaping, and basically shows that they have the ability to learn how to step outside of their comfort zones by removing themselves from their boxes.
It's funny that, Nick, you mentioned like the people of the town being sheep, but it's kind of like the trolls are really sheep. They needed somebody to kind of lead them, to show them you can change, you can be different.
Yeah, but they're more smart than trolls.
Are they?
Well, I'm not saying they're better or more good.
I'm sticking
but they have the brain capacity to make better decisions, but they don't.
I also love how they gave Herbert a box that says jelly on it.
Okay, yes.
The guy really loved his jelly.
It was a great little nod, like at the end. And they never explain, because he's got a jar of jelly. Like when we see him in the flashbacks, he's got his jelly. Like, dude loves his jelly.
Even doesn't he say, I think it's time to take a jelly break?
Jelly break. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
The funny thing, I remember there was an ad.
We should start saying that every time we go on break.
Jelly time. Jelly break.
It's time for our jelly break.
Break. I'm down. I remember there was an ad campaign for this movie where it was they were like interviewing kids outside of the movie theater after seeing Boxtrolls, and there's a whole bit of them just going jelly. I'm like, I remember that ad.
I mean, that's a kid moment for sure.
Absolutely.
If you're a kid, you're saying jelly. Yeah. Immediately after this movie.
So many. And I didn't like
it's like the Toy Story to infinity and beyond.
Yes.
There are just those phrases that would just absolutely catch your attention as kids.
What a sad, strange little man.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that was just one that like I remembered watching it this time and being drawn back to that ad campaign. I'm like, oh, jelly, yes, jelly. But I loved him. Like that weird jelly obsession was insane.
Yeah, it's so funny though. Like it's just it was especially being the fact that it's my first time watching it. I've never seen this movie before or heard about it, and it's been a pretty interesting adventure thus far. But then you're gonna show me this upside down hanging man in chains that's just happy about jelly. I'm like, okay, we're on something happened. We're not in Kansas anymore.
I
Go ahead, Matt.
Another like interesting thing that they did when they reveal Jelly Man is they keep him to like they can't keep him to the side of the frame. They never like full on like get him to the center and hold on him. It's just kind of like there's a hairy dude there. What? Who's that guy? Like I think that this is a good example of where like the intro doesn't work so well of getting us to buy into something so that we are surprised later. This was a good example of them doing that, of dropping this little clue. You could easily like, who's that guy? Like you could easily forget that, like, oh yeah, it's clearly his dad. It's clearly like, and I think it works, and I think it's great. And I love that when it gets to the point of the two of them meeting, they don't like drag it out of like, are you my dad? Are you my son? I don't think so. But blah, blah, blah. Like, no, it's just like they get to the point. They don't drag it out. It's like, thank you. But I like it. I do like that he's just kind of hidden down there with the Boxtrolls. Although, is he upside down in that moment, or is he actually working with them?
No, he's upside down.
Is he upside down? Do they never?
I remember him being upside down the whole time until the very end of the film.
Side up?
Until the very end of the film.
Thank goodness, that dude's head has got to be so fucked.
Well, even what is it? Snatcher even says being hung upside down for a decade really did a number to his brains.
Yeah, the blood flow. He has no blood flow in his feet.
Yeah.
Well, then at the end, when you see Jelly like standing, his hair is still up.
Yeah,
like it stays in that vertical.
Okay, so that's actually one thing I don't like about stop motion and like claymation, that kind of thing. Like hair is often very like thick and like it doesn't look like hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a necessity of.
Do you blame them?
No, it's a necessity of the style. If they made it realistic, it'd be no, stop. That doesn't look right. So like I get it, but I don't like it because it always ends up looking so like thick and like greasy and like, and it doesn't matter if it's the cleanest person ever. They got gross looking hair.
Yeah.
And like, but that is a moment where I'm like, that is brilliant. Take the fact that this dude's been upside down for 10 years and his hair just naturally it's stuck. I love it. And it totally works for me.
I kind of have a new scene that also involves a nitpick, or I guess maybe a head scratcher or question. But it's just kind of the interactions between Whitney and Eggs. And I'm gonna kind of go past the initial reaction, like when she first sees him. But the scene where the two of them kind of band together, getting ready to go to the ballroom. She's like doing this like clothes design, like trying to get all the stuff from the trolls that are to build an outfit, like a human outfit, to get ready for the ball.
We call those clothes.
But the kind of question or nitpick or whatever that I have is I for some reason was expecting Whitney to kind of join the Boxtrolls and she dresses up like them. She kind of goes on their side, and then they all kind of storm the ball, like, as like an army to do whatever there's to do. So I was just a little surprised that they were going to try to make Eggs be more human to blend in, when I thought it would be Winnie, Eggs, and all the trolls in their troll uniforms, aka boxes, storming the ballroom event. So I was just curious, and like, if you guys thought that Winnie was going to join them, and also, do you think she should have? Go ahead, Matt.
I never really thought that she was going to join them. Certainly, because when she gets down there and she's like, "Why isn't anybody ripping me apart? Why isn't anybody eating me? Why isn't there blood and guts? Why aren't there bones everywhere?" Like, all disappointed that she's not being destroyed by these Boxtrolls.
I was promised mountains of bones.
Yeah, weird little girl, but to each their own.
God, and rivers of blood.
Yeah, so intense. So no, I never really thought of her as like joining them. Maybe like an alliance, sure, but for me, what doesn't make sense about the, like the charge, the banding together and having an army storm this party is you ruin anything, any way of proving like the Boxtrolls are not dangerous by essentially having them storm the gates and make an attack, especially since there's not many of them. They always respond in fear and hide. So like it's a big change, it's a big twist for them, but it ultimately just doesn't, I don't think it makes sense in the long run. But by having Eggs, who was the baby that was stolen that has caused all of this problem for the last 10 years, it makes perfect sense to send him along and be like, "Hey, the Boxtrolls are fine. They don't hurt anybody. They would never hurt anybody. I'm the baby they took. That's the bad guy. I'm telling you and showing you who the bad person is, and you were somehow overlooking all of it. You're ignoring me. I'm a baby that was missing for 10 years, and you're gonna kick me out of your house because I got thrown into your wheel of cheese by the real bad guy and it went out the door." Which, by the way, why would the butler open the door to let it fly through instead of just let it crash into the door? I don't know. I think it was a way to say fuck you to the white hats. But yeah, I don't think strategically it really makes sense for them to do that. Doing more of the stealth espionage kind of mission. I think it was the right idea, but you don't wait until you're getting to the door to be like, "Oh, by the way, this is how you interact with humans."
Yeah, there should have been a little bit of pre-training going on there.
We'll chalk it up to they're 10 years old and they're allowed to make mistakes.
There you go.
Maybe all of that should have been part of like the montage of creating the clothes. Like while they were still down underneath, they do a montage of how to interact with humans.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The moment that you were just talking about, Matt, I titled "Who Cut the Cheese Loose?"
Okay.
That's good.
I like it.
I also wanted to highlight a moment. You kind of brushed over it, but I wanted to highlight it because it was the one of the very few times that the movie made me truly laugh out loud. And it's when they all the trolls are gathering their belongings and they're basically giving it to Winnie and hoping that what they're giving is something that she needs and accepts. And Shoes goes 0 for 3. And his reaction every time was it just got better and better. At first he's like, "Here," and she's like, "No, that won't do." And he's like kind of grumpy, but okay. And then he goes with the saw and she's like, "No, that won't do." And you can just see his blood pressure, if they have blood pressure, it's just boiling. And the third one, I'm like, this guy's gonna crawl. He's gonna blow up the place. It was really. I just love the multiple failures from Shoes. That was good.
Do you think he was more disappointed that she didn't want his stuff, or that like in the thought that she didn't like his stuff?
I think. Ooh, that's a good question. I think he was disappointed that she wasn't taking what he was offering.
I kind of get that impression of like,
it's like you picky bitch.
It's like he doesn't know what he should be picking up.
Right.
Like, I brought you something, just take it.
I don't think he's particularly great at things. I mean, the first time we see Shu, he's stealing a clock from Fish. It's like, you didn't even find that. You didn't even fix it. You just took it because it.
And then he wants the teddy bear. It's like, oh wow, you are just the worst person right now.
So I kind of get the feeling that like Shu just takes everything that they can from whoever they can. They don't necessarily have a thing that they're great at. So when they're trying to help out and they're just getting denied,
Yeah.
fuck you. My stuff is good. You're wrong.
I do have a fairly big nitpick on this one. Actually, well, two nitpicks, but we'll go with this one. Using Winnie as leverage. This did not work for me at all because of the foundation that you've already laid out throughout this entire movie. In this entire movie, you've clearly shown that Lord Portley does not give two shits about his family. He cares about his cheese and his white hat and his white hat society. Those are the three things that he cares about. Yet at the very end of the movie, at the tail end, we're now going to make it to where, oh, I have your daughter, so now you're going to start listening to me. And he's like, no, please don't hurt my. It wasn't believe. Even when he did have his daughter, and he said, I want your white hat. He's like, how about I give you her white hat? But then like a second later, he's like, no, please don't take my daughter. I'm like, this doesn't work, guys. You butchered me believing that she holds any type of feeling in your heart whatsoever. And it's like, maybe just take a little bit longer to come up with where the leverage is going to come from, because it just wasn't plausible at all.
Yeah, were you talking about the like one of the beginning scenes when she throws the hat out like off the balcony and then Snatcher picks it up and then he and Winnie are on the stairs? No, you're not. You didn't talk about that.
I mean, that's just an example of how much he disrespects and doesn't like his daughter.
Okay, yeah, because Snatcher's like, oh, I've got something for you, and we're thinking like his daughter, and Lord Portley is like, oh, thank you for my hat.
Yeah, and so like I said, that's the foundation that they laid out throughout the movie. Yeah. But then at the very, very, very tail end of the movie, when we're basically almost getting to the resolution, it now becomes this thing where she's held hostage and the leverage that Snatcher is using is his daughter. And I'm like, it does not work. You put way too much effort into showing me that he could care less. If you held his white hat hostage, I'm on board. I believe that this guy would crawl through fire to get his white hat back, but not his daughter, which is very sad to say, but that is the blueprint that you gave me and you gave all the viewers and everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there needed to be, there should have been something where it's a character that's they give Lord Portley Rind his coming to Jesus moment of, look, you're fucking it up. Your daughter she doesn't love you. And rightfully so, because you've given her no respect. She's actively trying to get herself eaten by Boxtrolls because you've made her feel so worthless. You're a terrible father. Get your shit together. Like, there should have been some sort of moment along those lines, or just him seeing her in true danger and just being like, I'm going to save her. Like, like, be a fucking father.
Exactly.
And for it to be like, now that she's a hostage, now that she's being dangled, it's like, I'm sure you're kind of like left with no other option. Like, well, it's my daughter. But like you said, even when it's like, if the hat were there, he would have cared more about it.
Yep.
So I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, who's more evil, Snatcher or Lord Portley?
Snatcher.
I mean, Portley is also a pretty terrible human being too.
Yeah. But he's just a shitty person. He's not an evil entity.
He's a shitty father.
But also a shitty leader.
I guess he's a shitty person too. But he's
a shitty person.
But he's not evil.
He doesn't care about anybody else but himself. Like, that's what evil people are.
That's not true.
No, he cares about his white hat society.
And they love their cheese.
Holy crap. Does the white hat, is that a mirror to the white glove society?
I'm not super familiar with the White Glove Society, but it's probably very likely.
I don't know much about them either, but I do know that they are amongst the higher class.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting. That's
It's the male version of it.
yeah, that's interesting. Oof.
I don't know. Just while we're on the white hats, and I'm remembering the fact, I believe Lord Portly Ryan's hat was actually made up of 4 different fabrics.
No, I thought it was more than that.
Let me find it.
Like 20 or something.
I was gonna kind of go like a rapid fire of just like funny moments.
Oh, sure.
Unless if you wanted to jump to a new scene.
No, go for it.
But it's 14 different fabrics on Lord Portly Ryan's hat.
14.
14.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of bring up like small fun moments because it seems like we're kind of ragging on this movie a little bit, but just to kind of bring it up.
You let Brian talk for a minute, so that's where we're at.
Yeah. So a small scene where Snatchers, like his goons, yeah, they make a whole evil is afoot joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like his goons are like, why are they talking about a foot, like a foot? Yeah, and I think the bigger one,
don't they start talking about like bunions? It's like they go on a whole tangent.
I wouldn't mind more of like a couple of shorts of Mr. Pickle and Mr. What's the big guy's name?
Trout.
Yes, the two of them, like there was such interesting dynamic where Mr. Trout kind of gives off like he's just a big idiot, but he's really not.
Mm-hmm.
Got Mr. Pickles, who's just like, oh yeah, we're the good guys. Like he's trying so hard to be a good person, and he wants to believe that they're good people, but he's been lied to as well.
I mean, the entire movie, he's just in constant. He's looking for reassurance that what they're doing is right, and then you can see as the movie continues, his feeling is starting to teeter.
Like questioning their morals
until the very end, where they're like, "I knew that's how they looked at us," and that's like it was like the glass is shattered at that point. I felt bad. I was like, wow, these guys are going through some real ethical dilemmas right now.
But I do like that they mentioned that. They question their morals and like whether or not what they're doing is good and bad.
I could have used a couple more scenes with them. They were fun.
Yeah. I know I'm jumping to the end, but like that the last thing that we see before the like final credits roll, I love it. I love every minute of that.
Oh yeah. The post credit. Yeah.
Yes.
Another little fun moment when Whitney is talking to Eggs about where to go, and she's like, "Yeah, it's on Kurt's Way." And then you see the street signs, and she goes, "Milk turns into it."
So good.
Oh, what a brilliant joke.
The best part of that joke is the rim shot from the one man band right after she says it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then it cuts to him like it dropped. Like that's why it made that sound.
Yeah, they were proud of themselves for that one.
That was a good joke though.
That was perfect.
Yeah. Very, very well timed.
Way milk turns into so good.
One more I have is when towards the end when Archibald has to say his whole name. It's Archibald Penelope Snatcher. I was like, they just wrote that in as a joke, like by itself.
I think Ben added it himself.
Which is my name, by the way.
Yes.
Let me pull it up. Yeah, he just gave himself the middle name Penelope.
Yeah, he just went with the middle name. That's it.
I do like that he went full Nicholas though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it just had the same ring as like Archibald Penelope Snatcher, Nicholas Penelope Klaus. Like it just.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do that, you probably should have thrown in like Nicholas the Third.
Yeah. Well, I am technically a second, so I could have
Nicholas
done the second.
The Third, Penelope Klaus.
Nicholas Penelope Klaus II.
All right, so I got another nitpick now that you're done with your fun moments.
Yep. Yeah. It was just those three that I had written down.
The name of this movie is The Boxtrolls. We weren't really introduced to any of them with the exception of Fish and Shoe. And that's pretty much it. I just would have liked to, if you're going to title it The Boxtrolls, maybe give me some type of connection with them besides, just they're on for the journey. It's almost like we're being told the story of the Trubshaw baby, and the trolls just happen to be involved in this story. It's kind of it threw me off a little. Go ahead, Matt.
I respectfully disagree. I
Okay.
see where you're coming from, though, but I believe that it's called the Boxtrolls because the entire story centers around them. It's not about getting to know them. It's not even about them being the main character. It's centered around them. The Trubshaw baby gets kidnapped. It's blamed on the Boxtrolls. The town is being terrorized because it's not being terrorized, but things are going missing. It's blamed on the Boxtrolls. They're trying to Snatcher's trying to get his white hat so that by kidnapping and killing
the
all
Boxtrolls, right?
I mean, everything centers around the Boxtrolls.
I agree with that.
What was the name of the book? It was
Here Be Monsters.
Here Be Monsters, yeah.
Like, I mean, which I think is actually on the bottom of the manhole covers in this movie. But
that's good.
I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a better title, but like for a movie where everything is centered on the Boxtrolls, about saving the Boxtrolls, really, I think it's a perfect title for it. But I do agree that it would have been nice to get more of the Boxtrolls with the Boxtrolls. And especially since Oil Can, who's the one that you just is a silent one that you just see goes around and hits the hinges with its oil can. It's like, no more squeaky, is my favorite of the Boxtrolls because while everybody else is taking things and, building things from it or, like whatever, Oil Can is going around the town, greasing,
repairing,
fixing things like, in simple. And I think it's because it's like Oil Can doesn't like the sound of squeaky hinges, but I love Oil Can is just going around adding oil. It's not taking anything. It's just adding. And so cute.
I just feel they were treated too much like minions.
When did actual Minions come out?
Well, Despicable Me was 2010.
Brian, the part that I do agree with you on is that we only really got to know two of them. Like two of the Boxtrolls personalities and as characters. I just wish we had gotten to know more of them.
Yeah.
Like just more, just have a little bit more fun with them.
That's what I wanted to.
Like in the beginning, the first time that you see the Boxtrolls come out into the city, I wish that they had done a little bit more like character introductions of like, this guy's unique trait is this, and this one's unique trait is that. Right. Instead of just like as a collective, they're all kind of the same ish.
He did that though. You got to see some of the personalities.
Yeah, but it needed more time.
I agree.
Didn't get enough. That's all.
They had spent less time montaging growing up baby and more time like we're expanding and building the cavern or whatever they call it. Like, all right, that would have been more fun. Getting more scenes below ground with the Boxtrolls. It would have been more fun. That would have been interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I get that they have their own language and it's not English, it's Trollese, but
but they do speak some English, and that's something that I appreciated.
Well,
they can read.
Well, I think the two main guys did, Fish and Shoe, like they spoke some English, right?
They all speak enough English to know how to read. Like their boxes are where they get their names. Fish, Shoe, eggs, jelly. Like their boxes, it's red. So they could, and I mean, they call each other by their names and everything. They eggs. I think there's actually a few. Now I'm actually questioning if they're actually speaking English in those moments. There's a couple, like if it's just like for the listener, it's Trolleys has been translated so that we can understand. But there's a few moments, especially with Fish, where he's like, "Have you seen eggs? Have you seen eggs?" I'll say this, as far as like stop motion and things coming from Laika, I'm kind of looking forward to their next feature. It's slated for 2025. It's called Wildwood. The adventures of Prue McKeel as she sets off to the forest outside Portland to find her kidnapped brother.
Damn.
I mean, it sounds like an interesting enough story, but I mean, just looking at the names that I'm already seeing attached to it: Charlie Day, Aquafina, Carrie Mulligan, Jake Johnson, Jermaine Clement,
Wow.
Mahershala Ali, Richard Grant, Angela Bassett,
Wow.
Waits. I mean, like seriously, there's
Big names in that.
there's tons of big names, and to be fair, there's a ton of big names in this
To be
one,
fair.
too. They're just more British actors, but I'm like I said earlier, I feel like they've been improving each time that they've made movies. Like whether it's the story gets better or the animation gets better, things are getting better. They are improving. This is only this next movie. What did I say? Wildwood. It's only, I think, their sixth or seventh. I think their sixth film. They don't necessarily have a whole lot, but they've had a lot of time to really hone their craft, like getting better and better each time. So I'm looking forward to the next one. And with like the complaints that we have for this movie, I'm optimistic that they've gotten better enough to improve on those things. Like the story is stronger. It's more entertaining from start to finish.
I had a scene with a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Okay. I've titled it Fried Eggs, anyone? I wrote this scene down because you knew Snatcher was evil, but this one really sealed the deal. I'm like, you've already thought that you killed the trolls, but you saved the last troll that you know is not even a troll, and you're just gonna basically do a public homicide for everyone to see. But you're gonna dress him up as a troll. I'm like, this guy is terrible. Just absolutely terrible. And so, but overall, though, I really appreciated the way that they filmed it, all the twists and everything that they had. Where first you think Winnie's going to be the one to save him, but she's not, and then all of a sudden you've got the army of naked trolls that come out of nowhere and they save the day and everything.
The army of naked trolls.
Yeah. And then it kind of goes, if I remember, it kind of goes belly up on them, even though after the saving, right? Which then leads to my head scratcher. Snatcher just buries his little machine right into their location. How does he know that the location of the trolls? He's been hunting these guys for at least, we'll call it 10 years. If you knew where they were the whole time, why didn't you just make an advance a lot sooner? There was nothing, I don't think the story ever revealed how he knew exactly where to dig his machine to capture all the buddies.
One, he's seen them go into the sewers. He's seen them go into those things. So he'd know what direction they would be going is down. So that's one thing. But even if he did know exactly where the location was, how is he getting down there without the machine? I think any of those henchmen, including Mr. Pickle, would be too big to fit down their slide, their whole tunneling system. So maybe it's something that they had attempted before. Like they tried to get down there and was like, okay, we need this machine that can dig down there so that we can get in there, destroy it, and get them.
I'll bite on that one. I still don't say that he knows where they are.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just picked a manhole and was like, here we go.
Yeah, I think that he just took a wild guess and just picked a spot and dug. But I think, Matt, you mentioned earlier about them not being able to actually go down like the manhole covers, like in the sewer system, because you see that in that building when Eggs is getting away and Mr. Trout is like blocking the doorway, and then they push him through. He like squeezes through the doors, and it's like, yeah, okay, I could buy that.
So with Trout and Snatcher in particular, let's just call them fat. They're not getting through those tunnels. Mr. Pickle is long and slender, and I think it's his length that would fault him from being able to get through something, because those things got like bends and stuff. Like I don't think he's physically able to make that. I would argue that Grizzle has a chance, but he's also short and stout, and I don't know how well he fits down in those sewers. So I can argue that it's plausible that somebody, Grizzle or Pickle, might be able to fit, but I don't think they can.
Speaking of them being fat, for some reason Snatcher reminded me of the Grinch, just in terms of like body, like his build,
Body shape.
like body shape, but also in personality, and just kind of being like the evil.
No, Snatcher
Grinch
was
isn't
way
evil.
worse.
Well, no. I'm not saying that they're equal, but I'm just saying that they both do have this kind of like evilness to them. Like the Grinch is not a good person at all.
Returns everything.
I definitely see the body type though. That's a good find. That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
I will agree that the Grinch is an asshole, but I will not say that he is evil.
Yeah.
Evil asshole.
Big difference.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Matt. Stealing Christmas from everyone is pretty evil.
Yeah, come on, man. Like,
Is it though?
Yeah,
He
it's pretty fucking
he
evil.
stole present. He stole presents. He didn't steal Christmas.
He stole
no,
Christmas.
he stole Christmas.
He stole decorations,
He stole.
stockings. Don't make me sing the song.
He stole the spirit.
Don't make me quote the movie.
Yeah.
You can't hurt Christmas, Mr. Mayor.
Oh
He
man.
does not ruin Christmas.
Oh, so here's a quick little head scratcher. So we already talked about the cheese going down. The stupid ass butler, you already touched on that. How he
I say brilliant. He did that out of spite.
I hope so. I really hope he's like, fuck you, dude.
It does is talk about
This is for the children that didn't get their hospital.
Yeah.
So here's my question though. This cheese is clearly rolling into the ocean or sea or bay or whatever they're near. And they actually go to fish it out and they get it. And on it is seaweed and clearly salted water and all that stuff. And then someone actually, or Snatcher, falls right into it. What's the smell of the town like around at this point?
It's smelling very good.
I don't think it's Gouda.
No, it was actually brie. It was like a giant roll of brie cheese. Yeah.
It's got to be just unbearable. It has to be unbearable. That is stinky, salted ocean water molded cheese at this point.
Well, here's what's interesting about it being brie is it's technically covered. Like it's
got a rind.
It's wrapped, right? So like it may soak through there. It probably would, but it'd definitely be salty. Like, I mean, certain things would happen for sure, but I would guess that to some degree it's actually protected. But to your point about the smell of the town, the fact that they are this heavy into cheese, I just guess it smells badly anyway.
That's actually, yeah, that's probably true.
like
that tasting room is.
Oh my God, it must smell awful in there. I'm sure that table tastes delicious, but I bet it smells awful.
It's kind of towards the end, but it's when you see all the Boxtrolls without their boxes on.
Yeah.
And you just see all the little troll butts.
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of terrified. It was a little scary to look at them without their boxes, because with their boxes, they're actually kind of adorable. but with the boxes off, they're just like little gremlins. Just like I didn't like it at all.
They do kind of look like little gremlins or goblins or something without them.
Yeah, but put a box on them, they're like adorable,
super cute. What I thought was funny about seeing their little butts were like their butts were pale. Like it makes sense. They've been covered in boxes. They go out at night. But just like that little detail of like, did you just not paint the butt or was this a choice?
They were like little like baboon butts.
Yeah.
You know.
They also did a really good job of like whenever they showed the front of the trolls without their boxes, they were covering their privates.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't scratch there in public. That's why they're called your privates. It's a great joke and like I love it in this. But yes, I thought that they did a really good job of like having things that would motivate too of like covering them. It's like you can't show a troll's butt and then genitals, right? Like I mean, let's just assume they have them, but we don't need to see them. We don't need to know that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm good.
This is a family movie after all.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to see weird penises, download Baldur's Gate 3.
If you want to see troll penises, just go on Google. I'm sure there's some there.
Wow.
I try to save people at Google and maybe get some purchases for another company, but what? You're just
making them do extra work.
Go ahead and look at porn like they weren't going to do it anyway. Remember, turn your safe search on.
I pretty much have quotes in the end of the movie.
I kind of have a talking point, like an idea.
Let's hear it.
I just wanted to say the name of that brie they gave was the Behemoth.
The Behemoth.
Oh, they did call it that.
The Behemoth.
So the note that I wrote down, I just wrote, humans are the real monsters, not the Boxtrolls.
Always true.
We could probably talk about that for a little bit, but I wrote this down because it just, like, as we've already talked about, the Boxtrolls really aren't actually doing anything bad for the most part. There's like little things here and there, but it just goes to show that the people are trying to get rid of something that's not really like wreaking havoc or invading their life in any way, and they can't just let them live peacefully underground. And so, and especially in the end when they're all chanting to like kill was it eggs, the one that was going to be thrown into the kennel or the fire or whatever.
The furnace.
They're all chanting like, I can't remember what the chant was.
Kill it. I don't know.
Kill the troll or something. I can't remember. But I'm just like, wow, these human beings are the actual monsters here, and not these poor trolls. Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, that's a common theme for particularly animated movies, right? Like, I mean, Hotel Transylvania, that's the premise of pretty much the entire trilogy. Or I think they got a fourth one now. I don't know. But it's like monsters are only monsters because we call them that and make them so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in movies that don't have monsters, people are the monsters. Like, you know, like you said it, human beings are monsters. We absolutely are. We destroy our own planet. We destroy our own ecosystem. Like for as selfish as we are, we don't seem to give a shit about self-preservation.
Yeah, and then you look at the Boxtrolls and like, it's like, they're not a threat. They're not an elephant. They're not a bear. Like, what is your serious motive to get rid of them? It's just you be selfish, you know.
They were a nuisance.
But they're not being selfish. They were told by the people that be that box trolls are evil, and they do nothing to explore it themselves.
That's
So
why
if
they're sheep.
anything, they're being lazy, because all they're doing is they're like saying, okay, the white hats and the government told us that box trolls are evil, therefore they're evil, so now we hate box trolls.
Wake up, sheeple.
Once again, big fat fucking mirror.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's easier to be told what to think than to have a genuine thought yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
The one person that decided to explore the possibility that they're not going to get eaten is Winnie.
Well,
Yeah, I can't say eggs because he was basically brought into the world, so he wasn't part of the humans that thought they were evil.
I mean, Eggs' dad was. I mean, he was partners with them. Like he worked
Right.
consistently. So
He was the only one, but he looked at them as these guys are inventors and creators, as am I. They
Yeah.
just aren't human. But everyone else is, trolls are evil, but they never took the time to actually explore it themselves. They just trusted the information that was given to them.
I mean, and to play devil's advocate, I wouldn't say like Winnie was like trying to prove anything.
Oh, she wasn't. She definitely wasn't.
I still think that it's so sad if like to put it into this context. I think she wanted to die. I think she wanted to die because she was so miserable at home because home life was awful. Mother was basically non-existent. Dad actively ignored her. She's trapped in this massive house.
I remember thinking when I was watching this, I was like, if Winnie and the little kid from Kindergarten Cop got together, God help this world.
Yeah. Oh
Could
my
be a
god.
tumor.
Yeah. Yes. If Tumor Kid and Winnie become in a partnership of any kind, that's it. Game over.
Oh boy.
It will take over the world.
That is
Their little sidekick. Boys have penises and girls have vaginas.
Yeah, well, what do trolls have?
Yeah, I was literally just thinking that. What do trolls have?
I don't want to guess. I because now we're getting into this, and like I am a little curious as to how the trolls procreate. Like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna go down that road.
I don't want to, but you guys are bringing it up, so like that's where my head is currently at. So let's move on.
Matt's up to like 3 a.m. like sweating. It's like, how do trolls procreate? I can't find anything on the internet.
Hey,
like I won't go to bed until I find out.
I can't remember what it is in biology. It wasn't my favorite science, but when like cells split, is it mitosis, meiosis, mitosis?
I think it's mitosis.
Mitosis, where like a cell splits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that's how I think trolls procreate. Like at a certain point, they just like they split off, and while one remains, another becomes like a new troll.
So I had a head scratcher that I was gonna hold back on because I was like, well, I don't want to make it seem like this movie was realistic. But now that you just talked about mitosis when it comes to trolls, I think I'm in the clear.
I am, bitch.
So here's my question: how do these guys' boxes not deteriorate?
These are really good boxes.
They must be some strong boxes.
Really good boxes.
But like the double layered like hard ones that are like hard to bend, like those ones.
Well, okay, did you see that? I think it's the name is probably going to be underwear. But did you see that his box was technically 2 boxes?
No.
It's like look for it next time, or just try and find him. But
there won't be.
Sure it's, huh? I didn't hear what you said.
I said there won't be.
Fine. But underwear.
I did 2. 2 was enough.
He's got 2 boxes, and they kind of like like the top one kind of fits inside of the bottom one. So it looks like it's like they're stacked on top of themselves, but like you will see that he kind of moves and they kind of like telescope a little bit.
Okay.
So I don't know how often that they change their boxes. I'm curious if like they upgrade their boxes, they fix their boxes, they clean their boxes or whatever. Because I mean, for me, the biggest thing, moving past the fact that cardboard or whatever these things are made of should deteriorate well before 10 years, or
Yeah.
especially with the amount of use these things get.
Yeah. Fish's box was holding strong.
Yeah, but the like even like the logos, like their names, they're like those things are prominent. Like some of them are faded to the point
Yeah.
where got little scratches and things. They've got wear and tear, but you can still see the image. You can still see the words. Like I don't know. Maybe these guys are just such good inventors. They came up with some sort of like spray that prevents these things from dying. I don't know.
That's possible.
I don't know. Like I said, let's just chalk everything up to, magic.
I mean,
science.
these guys are pulling the number 2 off of a wall and thinking I can use this. So anything can happen.
That is such an interesting thing to take. Although I did think it was funny that they took one wheel from the wagon. Like, why? The only
Was there anything from like the last big action scene with the mech and Snatcher? Like, was there anything kind of significant with that?
The sucking up of the water, pretty cool idea.
Oh yeah.
Like how are we gonna basically extinguish the furnace? Oh, I know. Let's just drop it down into the sewer line and suck up water. I am kind of curious if that would cause an explosion or not. That I don't know enough to weigh in on this one.
It is a fantasy.
Yeah, and that's what I chalked it up to be. I'm like, I'm not even gonna get into that. But
like we don't even know what that contraption is. Like is it a robot? Is it a vehicle? Is it a tank? Like
it was made by the trolls. So which really remind me of little night raccoons.
Yeah.
Just rummaging through everything.
Yeah.
Little trash pandas.
Yeah, exactly. Little trash pandas.
I mean, raccoons do too,
but I don't know. Other than that, I mean, I guess it was, honestly, the movie itself towards the end had a fairly good amount of action scenes that I was happy to see. But
kind of like they're spinning around on the mech suit, like they're trying to hold on and break it apart, and he's just like,
yeah, like that was pretty cool too. I love how like they made it to where Eggs is like, hey, you guys made this, you guys can take it apart better than anyone, and I'm like, checks out. They know where every part goes. So I thought they were very creative in how they're going to take down this machine that's basically wreaking havoc on this on Cheesebridge, and they're doing it without any weapons. Yeah. Which was really really creative and in a good way to kind of seal the deal. The actual ending I felt was very rushed. It was very like, let's just land this plane deal. And what I'm talking about is Snatcher falling into the cheese and basically becoming this like anaphylactic monster at this point. Where I'm like, oh, so Snatcher is like not even human anymore. Got it. And then it's like, to the tasting room and that it's such an eerie silence when he's about to eat the did you guys ever watch Ren and Stimpy?
Yes.
Did you get like almost Ren and Stimpy vibes on the way, like the close up of things and how grotesque they were? And I was like,
tongue sticking out.
Yeah, I'm like, this definitely, I'm getting a little bit of Ren and Stimpy vibes going on here, but it was so quiet when he's like doing that, and then you just hear Egg's voice, "Don't do it." And I'm like, this is cringy at this point. It's like, let's just get through this so we can have our happy ending, please, because I know it's coming.
Well, I mean, like it's more so that like we know what's going to happen, but it's watching Snatcher finally have the reign of power in the moment, and like everybody knows what's going to happen, so it's like we don't know what to do. We're shocked. And so yeah, like it would be eerie and awkward, kind of, because this very depressed, egotistical, narcissistic man just wants one thing, and it's kind of sad to watch.
I mean, he's like gone into complete anaphylactic, and the first thing he says is, "Congratulations, Archibald Snatcher, you finally did it!" And it's when he basically stole it wasn't even awarded to him at this point. This is like him taking the situation in his own hand, and I'm like, wow, man, you have some issues you need to work out.
Yeah.
You need a mommy very, very badly.
I'll agree with you, Rush. It's pretty much okay. He eats the intensity of, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? And he does it. All right. Now we have our happy ending. Everything's great. We're good to go. And oh yeah, by the way, these guys are fine. But what happened to Grizzle? What happened to Snatcher? Like, the implication is, yeah, he exploded and died.
Right.
But we still got Grizzle. What happened to that dude? That he talk about evil. That guy was a true minion.
Didn't he get squished? He did. He got squished. He said, "I have lost a lot of blood," and then the thing fell on him.
God, I don't remember that. Wow, did they kill off all of their villains?
Yeah.
Well, good for them.
yeah. There's like a crazy close up of Grizzle, and he's like, "I have lost a lot of blood," and then all of a sudden the machine comes crashing down, and you hear him go, "Oh
Nice.
He's about to say, "Oh shit," and then he gets crushed.
Oh, I don't remember that.
The only two that survive are Mr. Pickles and Mr. Trout,
who turn to the right side once they realize they're truly on the wrong.
Yeah.
They were on the side that they wanted to be on the whole time.
It just took them time to realize it.
Yeah,
I think
they got bamboozled.
They did. This might be a nitpick that I'm thinking about it, because I feel like in the flashback of Snatcher attacking Jelly, I feel like the rest of the henchmen were there. I gotta I really do need to rewatch this, because I feel like they were there, and in which case, like, their whole like, "Are we the bad guys?" argument is like, it's really lost. You watched or helped attack a man and then lose his child.
Oh wait, you're talking about when the trolls are pressed?
No, I'm talking about in the flashback where Snatcher hits Jelly, and they think so it's when Fish is telling the story.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, it's in black and white.
I don't think they are there.
I'm sure I can't remember if they are. And like that's what I said. Like if they are, that's my only nitpick towards their whole "are we the bad guys" thing. It's possible that they're not. I'm curious.
I'm pulling up images right now to see if I can find.
But I do like how throughout the entire movie, whether like they realized it far too late in life or not, their whole thing is like, yeah, we're the good guys. We're doing our thing. We're awesome. We're we're the heroes. Like they truly believe that they are on the side of good, because as far as they know, Boxtrolls are kidnapping children and eating them if they don't do their job, right? Like that's what they believe, is that they are doing the right thing. Meanwhile, they've been lied to their entire time, and when they realize it and find out the truth, they're like, "Oh no, we want to be the good guys. We've always wanted to be the good guys." I did have one acknowledgement for Snatcher that I'm somewhat empathy. It really is like such a shame to be so allergic to cheese, living in a town that survives on cheese. Like, God,
yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's truly unfortunate. Like, I talk about like the whole, power and status and all of that stuff, where like, dude, even if you got up there, you wouldn't even be able to enjoy the cheese. Get your
like go pick a new town to take power over.
I'm interested in the villain origin story. I want to know how Snatcher became Snatcher.
Hmm.
I want to know how Archibald Penelope Snatcher became Archibald Snatcher. I feel like there's a fall from grace. Like I could imagine maybe his parents were nobles or something at a certain point, and like they were disgraced for some reason.
Mm.
And like this is his like, you know what? We're gonna be back on top. We're gonna get there. I could see it. I could see it. Hey, Laika, if you need somebody to write an origin story, right here.
Because I mean, the character of Snatcher is really cool. Like he's a really fun character to watch.
Very interesting. A very interesting character.
Yeah. And even with the whole frou-frou side of things too.
That's what I'm saying. He's a very interesting character. There's a lot going on with this character that we don't address. It's just this is who they are. I'm ready for some quotes. I've got, I think, 4 that we haven't said. Yeah, I think
I've got one.
I have one. The rest has been said that I wrote down.
Yeah, same. Matt, you say all yours, and then Brian and I will say our one.
Wow. What if I take yours?
Yeah, that's silly.
Oh, yeah.
Nick, you say yours.
The odds. I'm not taking Nick to Vegas.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, well, I'll say mine.
Nick's like, I'm gonna put 100 on red and 100 on black.
I don't know what that means.
Means you're gonna win and lose. You get nothing.
No, because then it's gonna roll a 00 green.
Is this blackjack?
No, this is Russian roulette.
Roulette.
Is it just
Oh,
roulette?
I don't know.
Russian
I don't
roulette
know
is
that.
where you actually shoot yourself, right?
Yeah, it's just roulette.
Yeah. I know that Russian roulette.
I don't gamble.
Oh man. All right.
I know poker, and that's it.
What do you got, Nick? I'm gonna roll the dice, and hopefully you don't take mine.
Yeah. So this is from it's from Winnie. I think it's Winnie to Eggs, I believe is who she's saying it to. She says, if you're gonna eat me, just get it over with. I'm sure I'm delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was definitely Winnie.
That's what she said.
That's what she did say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. This is from Snatcher. Stop destroying my indestructible machine.
Yeah. That was the other one I didn't write down. But yeah. The unspeakable has happened. We must speak of it. Stop destroying my indestructible machine.
That's amazing.
Well, you know what? It's his own fault. It's his own fault because he had the trolls build it so they know everything about the machine.
True.
That means that they could have built something to easily dismantle it, and Snatcher wouldn't know.
To his credit, he thought they built the machine and he successfully killed them. So, like, who would be there to destroy it or know how?
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
I just found it so funny as he's tearing up this town. The only thing he's complaining about is how they're destroying his indestructible machine. I was like, that is great writing.
So this is part of Madame Frou-Frou's introduction, and it's just because I thought it was funny. So we've got what's it? It's Cheesebridge is the name of this place. What is it?
Yeah, Cheesebridge.
Cheesebridge. But for Madame Frou-Frou's intro, from the long lost land of Czechoslovakia, Cracker Slovakia. That's what I thought was hilarious. Cracker Slovakia. Why?
Because you need cheese and crackers.
Oh my god.
Dude, I want cheese and crackers now. Like,
was not making that connection, but that's fucking hilarious. And like,
give me some Ritz crackers with some like cheddar cheese slices.
I was just thinking Cracker Slovakia because it sounds like fun.
Oh, you missed the cheese and crackers, right?
I was not thinking cheese and crackers.
That's so funny.
Not even a little bit. Like, I'm slightly embarrassed, but not even a little bit was I thinking about cheese and crackers. I can't remember who said this. I think it might have been Eggs, but he says, people are just mean and selfish. They're monsters, which I know we had talked about, and I missed my opportunity to drop that quote when we were actually having that conversation.
That's probably why I wrote that note down, was because of that line.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
This one was it's the realization of Lord Huntington III. Fuck, man, I made it all night. Cannot
Portly Rind.
Portly Rind.
Lord Huntington the Third.
Where's he going with that?
We have Flippity Floop and Whippity Whap, and then
none of my
Lord Huntington the Third.
I was thinking Legally Blonde, Warner Huntington the Third. Anyway, so Lord Portly Rind. These names just don't flow. That's why they're hard to remember. And I don't like.
Lord
Rind, as in like a rind of cheese.
Yes, it's the portly part that I don't remember.
Lord Foxtrot.
There we go. Anyway, so this quote's from Lord Portly Rind. Why is he talking like Madame Fruit? Oh my God, I regret so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
So what did you do, Lord Portly, that we didn't see?
He had a private show with Madame Frou Frou, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he did.
Last quote is really my favorite part of the movie, and we barely talked about it, but I think this is a great way to segue to it. You ever think about the universe, Mr. Trout? It's the beginning of Mr. Pickle and Mr. Trout's conversation that leads to the zoom out of the claymation happening.
That was so cool.
I mentioned this last week because I when you guys listening to Finding Nemo, I hope it's still in there. But I had mentioned this particular scene being like one of my favorite things to talk about, like one of the things I was really looking forward for you guys. And it's just because it's so cool to watch a time lapse of somebody doing what they're doing. It's really cool. But what makes it even better is the dialogue that's going on top of it, to where Richard Ayoade is going off on like this, like now they're having to go back and do this whole thing about me talking about that. Like it's building off of itself meta so well, and it's fucking funny and so good.
It really caught my attention.
I love it. I love it so much. And because stop motion is so difficult and so tedious, like I love the fact that they threw the spotlight on it for a moment and even made a good joke out of it. So it's who won the movie? Anybody want to go first?
I'm glad we ended on that last post-credit scene, because it really is. It really was cool to see. It's and again, it's like you were saying, Matt, it's what they were saying too. It's like what if we only moved because someone else was moving us, or something like that. It's like that blink 3.5 days. Like
yeah.
like yeah, just
here I am just doing this, like walking in a circle, like
yeah. No, I mean, final thoughts. I do feel that this movie had more potential than what was delivered. I do like the messages that we pulled from it, especially all the mirrors that we were able to reveal. And if you guys didn't see it, we hope you see it now after listening to us. As far as who won the movie, my honorable mention is it's going to be the animation crew and as a whole. 125,000 frames. You guys worked your asses off, and this isn't a terrible movie and nowhere close to it. So you just pat yourselves on the back, because that's my honorable mention. But the winner for me here is Ben Kingsley. His work as Snatcher was just top notch. I mean, he was just batting 1,000 on this one, making it to where he had half of his mouth closed during an allergic reaction. The tones, the delivery, the cadence, just everything he brought. He made Snatcher who Snatcher was. And what a performance for a stop motion voice acting. Just I can't praise him enough. Just really crushed it. Stole the damn movie.
The movie, it's just a fun little movie. It's not like groundbreaking in terms of like what the story is and whatnot. Like a lot of the tropes and plot and characters, like it's all stuff that's been done before. in other movies. But I would say it is, the characters are original. Like, whenever you ever heard of a box troll?
Yeah.
Never. And yeah, so it was a fun watch, and for what I think wins it, I have to give it to the animators, the 2D or 2D, the stop motion animating. It's really well done, and I wish that there was like a fun fact about if there was any computer generation work, because I feel like there is, but either way, yeah, the animation in this film was pretty superb. So that's what wins it.
I'm curious. I would imagine there'd have to be some animation with like smoke, fog effects, and things like that. Like that's what I would imagine CGI would probably be involved with. But like, I am curious because like the animation of the face and the mouths and everything, it's so damn good. Like if that was part of the animation, like holy shit.
I think there were some scenes when you saw the trolls up close that I think the texture of their skin, anytime they moved, it felt a little computer generated, and just when they were moving, like maybe the textures were done with the computer. But if that was it, yeah. As far as what I noticed to be computer generated, props to them, because that's impressive.
The Rathridge Chronicles Volume 1, Here Be Monsters. That seems like that's the longest title it's got. But I mean, this thing has 544 pages, presumably 500 black and white illustrations. Like I am really curious as to what the content of this book is. Because we've been talking so much about stuff. I wonder what those details are, if it's in the book, you know, like we're talking about Snatcher and all that stuff. I wonder if it's there. It seems long enough that we could have these details, and maybe they're just like, we gotta lose that for the movie. Brian, I'm just gonna go ahead and lay it out there. I'm going exact opposite on you. For me, Ben Kingsley, I agree, absolutely phenomenal. He is such a good actor. Like he can be a good guy. He can be a bad guy. I mean, this guy can be anything. He can be anyone. He's so good. And he's so good that even when I see him and I'm like, oh, it's him. It's Ben Kingsley. Like I recognize him, but I know I'm not getting any typical Ben Kingsley. It's not like, oh, he's playing that character again. Oh, he's playing that guy. It's like, no, not I'll make the bold statement and say that not once have I seen him play the same character.
Yeah.
He's absolutely incredible. And like you said, in this movie, he does a phenomenal job. As far as the voice acting, especially for how prominent his character is, did absolutely incredible. But for me, what wins it, it's these sets, it's the animation, it's everything that we physically see that was real. Somebody built all of these things. The 20,000 props that they had, like, I mean, all that stuff, like that level of detail and that amount of effort, I can't let it go unnoticed or unappreciated. Like it is absolutely insane, but it's also just breathtaking and beautiful what they did. This was a great chat, guys. Like Brian, I'm sorry you didn't like the movie more, but like I don't think you truly hated it. So that's
nowhere close to hating it.
Yeah. So I consider this a nice, successful movie. That will conclude tonight's chat on the Boxtrolls, which I think was, like I said, phenomenal success. A bit of a shame that we lost Jen so early, but she was kind enough to give us her final thoughts and let us know what the next movie was going to be. So tune in next week, GoodFlickas on Twitch, to see us chat about the one, the only. I do mean this because I don't consider the remake live action thing. It doesn't exist in my mind. The Lion King. You know what? I'm gonna be a real dick about that next week. So I'm gonna hold off. But tune in next week to hear us chat about The Lion King. It's sure to be an absolutely incredible, fun chat. And continuing our animation August. But if you want to check us out on anything else, you can watch some of our past shows on YouTube. You just look for GoodFlickas on YouTube. You can check us out on Instagram at good.flickas, and you can check us out here on Twitch at GoodFlickas. Send us an email if you have any questions or anything like that, or if big shout outs or anything you'd like to give us, or just friendly advice, or hey, you guys are crushing it and we love you. We appreciate anything in our mailbox at goodflickas2020@gmail.com. Other than that, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to hand it over to Brian. You can round us out.
All right. Good Flicka family. Thank you so much for listening to us. Like Matt said, we'd love to hear your comments on what you thought about the Boxtrolls as well. Let's all go out there. Heroes come in many sizes and shapes, and the Good Flickas dare you to be square. We'll see you next week.
Nice. I like it. Dare to be square. That was good.